What's going on, coaches? We are super excited to jump into some training that you guys can actually take with you to use with your players as soon as today. Now, I don't want to hype things up too much, but we're going to give you guys some practical strategies that we wish we had as players and that we're sharing with other teams as well. A little bit of background about our relationship, Billy and I, is that we played in high school together. We're actually sitting at a nice little lake because we live within a mile of one another. So we played at high school, at a very competitive high school. Billy went on to play at a Division II school. I went on to play at a small Division I school. Billy has gone on to since play professionally, but we've had this relationship of competing against one another. We've had this relationship of sharing our experiences of playing, of our coaches, so on and so forth. We're going to dive in what to do, but I'm also going to share with you some of my experience of what not to do. And Billy's going to share his experience working with multiple coaches, various coaches at various levels, and actually having the opportunity to potentially coach at the professional level, which is a pretty great accomplishment, you know, going from all of the things that he's been through. That you need to go check out his intro video if you haven't checked it out yet, sharing a little bit more about his background. But the first thing we want to talk about is transferring skills from practice to a game. How many of you guys have players? How many of you guys have kids on your team right now that do an incredible job at practice, right? Catching ground balls, throwing, fielding, hitting, pitching, so on and so forth. And you just have that question in your mind, like, why doesn't it translate to the game? Why doesn't it happen in the game? So in our relationship, what sticks out to you in terms of where not only ourselves, but other players have gone wrong of being able to transfer skills from that practice scenario to a game?
Well, first of all, Sam, thank you for the introduction.
Little long introduction, but we're going to get into it.
Yeah, that's all right. That was great. I think that since we have such a good rapport, we agree on a lot of ideas. We agree, but also we tend to disagree sometimes too, which gives you a little bit of a perspective from two different people. Me as a pitcher, Sam is more of a position guy, hitter, could really hit the ball. I remember in a Twilight game when he hit 4 bombs in one game. So that was pretty impressive. But anyway, getting back to your question, thank you for joining us. But yeah, to transfer skills is one of the most difficult things for an athlete to do. You know, in practice we take so many reps. You know, hopefully we have time to take that many reps. Some practices, I guess the issue comes in where, you know, we have so many players and not enough time where players aren't getting enough reps. So I think reps are huge, which with me as a private lesson instructor, I believe in reps constantly. I had a bunch of parents where, you know, we do same thing over and over, reps. And then parents come and talk to me and like, you know, we're just doing the same shit over and over.
Yep.
But I have to tell them, you know, you just have to trust me, trust this process. Muscle memory is a real thing, you know, and that really comes into play when we get tons of reps, we get that muscle memory, we get more awareness of our body, and then we can transfer it to the game without even thinking about it. So I think subconsciously is the best way to transfer skills. It's just how do we build that subconscious strength, and how do we get enough reps? How do we give our players enough reps as coaches?
Yeah, and I want to expand on what he's talking about with the reps. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to tell you a quick story about my college coach. My college coach talked to every single person in the exact same tone. He said the exact same things to him, trying to get the same emotion out of every single player. Not every single one of your players needs the exact same treatment. There's a great John Wooden quote. It's not a quote, it's actually a philosophy. John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach, he would sit his teams down before the beginning of every single season, and he would tell them, you're all different. You all have different backgrounds. You all have different experiences. You all have different potentials. You all have different skill sets. You all have different learning capacities. You all learn at a different level. You all take in information at a different rate. Some people to get a little bit quicker, some a little bit slower. And he said, as your coach, I'll be the one to dictate what type of treatment you need as a player. And when I heard that as a coach, that was just like a huge aha, like mind-blowing moment, because you need to communicate. You may already understand, you may already know that your players need different treatment, but if you want to get the most out of them, tell them. If you want them to understand why you're talking to player A differently than player B than player C, tell them. Or if you're not talking to your players differently, if you're not giving them each a different type of treatment or coaching style, then you're actually doing them a disservice. Because you're gonna stunt their learning process. You're gonna stunt how quickly they learn, and then that translates into the reps that Billy's talking about. Because you're going to get the same response every single time. So, this is something that we could talk about all day, all night. Do you have any stories from your playing career where a guy was like a tremendous practice player, I don't know, maybe threw really hard in the bullpen or hit bombs in BP, and when the game came on, it was like a completely different animal?
Of course, yes. There are several athletes like that I know. One comes to mind. When I transferred into Kutztown, he was a freshman, I was a junior, so we were both coming into Kutztown the same year. I was 2 years older, and he was coming in highly touted freshman, got a big scholarship, was dropping bombs in high school, big for a D2, it wasn't a full ride or anything like that, but big for Division II, and he was like, the top guy coming in our team. Big dudes, like 6'4", just big, strong naturally. It was great to see. It was fun to watch him hit batting practice. He hit bombs, and it was cool to see.
He passed the eye test in practice.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And he passed the character test too. He's a great guy, actually.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
Great man, and he was really fun to be around. But just when the game would start, it turns out it was all up here, because when the game started, he was a completely different person.
Yes.
He went from enjoying practice, hitting bombs, having fun, to getting more uptight, as coaches like to say, tight butthole, which is exactly
Yep.
what he had. So I think that happens to a lot of guys, and it's like, how do we
This is fun to think about, though, because imagine if you were the coach. Imagine if we could go back in time and talk to that guy from your coach's perspective, right? Because obviously he respects your coach and he wants to please the coach so that he's in the lineup, right? What would you tell that guy different from what your coach was doing? Not to be disrespectful to any of our previous coaches or any players that we talk about. This is just, we can learn from our failures, and we want to learn from other players' failures as well, and coaches' failures.
Yeah, I try to learn from every single person, every player, every coach, every person, the cashier at the grocery store. I feel like I can learn something from everyone if I try.
Yes,
but
that's a mindset. Yeah.
So exactly. No disrespect to any former coaches or players. Actually, much respect for giving us an example.
We all mess up. We all screw up.
That's for sure.
I've had my share of failures. But okay, if you were in your coach's shoes, though, what would you tell that guy? What would you do as a coach differently? Would you change the conversation? Would you do something strategically in practice? Because every player needs different treatment. Mm-hmm. What would that guy's treatment be?
I think first of all, I would address the issue with the player. Like we said, you're going to want to coach everyone a little differently. So if this is a guy that you have a good connection with, which I think as a coach, a personal connection is the number one way to really get your team to perform the way you would like them to perform.
Yes.
Getting that good connection, I would just try to talk to him in person and tell him, and try to give him some mental guidance where, you're out there, we're playing a kid's game, we're just having fun, This isn't any different from high school Legion ball where you were a monster. You did it there, you can do it here. And you're around even better players, so they're going to make you better as well. And I would try to just instill the fact that, it's a game, try to have some fun, be grateful that you're out here, and, don't let anything else, your scholarship, nothing like that, get in the way of you just performing at your best and enjoying it.
Yeah, that's. I want to point out a couple of really interesting points there that Billy just hit on with helping that player. He changed what that player was seeing. So he would have changed the image in that guy's mind, seeing himself as a better player. seeing himself as being able to perform in games. And he also talked about what he was saying in terms of the words and the meaning behind those words, and the way we talk to individuals, the inflection, the type of tone, the type of way he communicated with that guy. And the other thing he changed is the way that player felt about himself. So he changed what the player was seeing in his own mind, controlling his thoughts. He changed the inner dialogue, the words that we say to ourselves, and he changed the feeling for that guy. So he had a different feeling going into the game. And those are the three components to hit on if you want to get your guys to transfer their skills from practice to a game.
You're good.
Because there's different things that they're going to be seeing. There's different words that they're going to be hearing. There's different sensations that they're going to be feeling. So you see, we're not high production here. This is raw. This is us, getting out here and giving this information and giving this value because we understand, we know that there's hundreds and thousands of coaches out there that need this, and there's thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of players that need this. So we're coming from the heart. I think that was a great first video. I'm excited for the second one. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you.